Part 36. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 351. Chapter 351 The Caring Daughter. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at his mother's face, as if nothing was wrong. My face was rosy, my breathing was stable, and I found nothing unusual, so I felt relieved. When Fang Ziyuai saw Zhang Xiaoxiao, it was like seeing an enemy, with a look of resentment on her face. Zhang Xiaoxiao, don't be a good person here. You coaxed my parents around and made them treat you as their biological daughter, while you threw me aside as their biological daughter. Are you happy now? Are you too? Do you feel proud that you have married into the Song family and climbed into the Song family? You can step on me under your feet? I tell you, I won't let you be proud. Song Moding only got the attention of the old lady and old man at most, but Song Moding was disliked by his father-in-law and mother-in-law the most. After you get married, there will be times when you suffer. Fang Ziyuai was almost speechless. In her mind, Zhang Xiaoxiao should not be like this at all. Zhang Xiaoxiao should marry in the countryside and become a village woman from now on, suffering all kinds of torture and suffering. Even if she comes back decades later, city. It's really bad luck to be a doctor in the end. But Zhang Xiaoxiao is completely different now from his previous life. Fang Ziyuai was really panicked. She was afraid that the past life she knew was entirely a dream. There was no past life at all, it was just a beautiful dream. But it happened that many details in that dream were vivid, and they had all happened before. If she suddenly became unsure about the future profit, Fang Ziyuai felt very panicked. Such a life was not what she had imagined. What she wanted was to kill everyone and become that master. It is not that Zhang Xiaoxiao is restricting him everywhere now. Fang Ziyuai, don't be too self-righteous. If you want to marry into the Song family, that's your business. I married Song Moding not because of the Song family at all, but because of him. Don't second-guess your own little thoughts. Others. If nothing happens in the future, don't go home. You'll make your parents mad every time you come back. I also hope that my parents can live a few more years and be filial to them. If you really regard them as your biological parents, you will stop doing these useless things in the future. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't say harsh words because Fan Jiuying was here. After all, she is her mother's biological daughter. Although the relationship between the two people is very weak, it cannot be compared with her own feelings at all. But she knew that her mother still had vague expectations for this biological daughter deep in her heart, and she didn't want to break her mother's heart. Fang Ziyuai got worse. How do I have anything to do with my biological parents and you? No matter what, these are my biological parents. The one who really doesn't have anything to do with you is you, and the one who should leave this family is you. You have already embraced the big legs, why are you still staying at my parents' place? They are ordinary workers and can't help you at all. How can you expect to get anything else here? Oh, this is the first time I have seen such a person talking to himself. Even if they are your biological parents, how can you treat your biological parents like this? Tell me, do you think the Song family would want a daughter-in-law like you? Character is corrupt, moral decay. I don't know why the Song family fell in love with you. Is Song Mohuan blind to fall in love with a woman like you? Wu Fei couldn't help it. She just said that Zhang Xiaoxiao was her friend. Anyone who dared to bully her friend would be bullying her. It was only then that Fang Ziyuai discovered that there was an extra person in the yard, and one look at Wu Fei's temperament and dress could tell that this was no ordinary girl. And he was able to blurt out Song Mohuan's name, proving that the woman in front of him knew Song Mohuan. My heart couldn't help but be shocked. I am getting married tomorrow, and I don't want anything to go wrong at this time. Offend someone who shouldn't be offended. Who are you? You misunderstood. You don't know the details of what's going on here. You just saw the superficial things. Don't be misled by Zhang Xiaoxiao. She is not a good person at all, and she is very utilitarian. Fang Xiaowai hurriedly explained and softened her tone. Wu Fei looked at Fang Xiaowai with a half smile. Okay, don't sow discord here. I know better than you what kind of person Zhang Xiaoxiao is. I am her friend, and I am here to sow discord in front of the two of us. Do you think your own character can pass the test? I don't know how your parents brought you up and taught you to be like this. When you married into the Song family and married Song Mohuan, was it just for utilitarian purposes and for the power of the Song family? Fang Xiaowai was speechless and speechless. I'm not. I will tell Aunt Song that her daughter-in-law returned to her parents' home and forced her biological parents to prepare a priceless dowry for her. I would like to ask Aunt Song whether she is marrying her daughter-in-law or coveting others' wealth. The dowry from your natal family? How can he force his daughter-in-law to be like this, talk nonsense about his biological parents, and even say things like not supporting his parents? Is this still what a human being says? How dare you marry someone with such qualities and character? Wu Fei looks down on such women. Don't think that she doesn't see Fang Xiaowai's little thoughts. Fang Xiaowai just felt that she knew people from the Song family now, so she immediately softened her attitude and wanted to explain clearly. He treated himself more or less with flattery, which was no different from the people he used to get along with. Very boring. You misunderstood, I didn't mean that, I just think my parents are partial. I didn't grow up with my biological parents, but who doesn't want to go back to my biological parents? I returned to my biological parents, but my biological parents treated me. My adopted daughter is treated better than my biological daughter. How can I treat them well and have feelings for them? Fang Xiaowai didn't want anyone to say bad things about her in front of Song's mother. I immediately changed my attitude and softened. With tears in my eyes, I pretended to be extremely wronged. In this case, you feel that your parents are not good to you, and you are sad and heartbroken. You don't have to come back. This is your choice. No one will blame you and will understand your feelings. Then why do you still face your parents when you come back? Are you asking them to prepare a generous dowry for you? Do not regard others as your biological parents, but you should enjoy the treatment of others as your biological daughters. Can you be more shameless and shameless? Wu Fei is not an ordinary person. She does not have the sympathy to sympathize with others casually. In her mind, Zhang Xiaoxiao and she are on the same side. Even if Zhang Xiaoxiao robbed Fang Xiaowai of all the treatment, he was his friend and he would just take it. Even if her friend ignores her, Wu Fei will stand by her friend's side. Pretending to be a little white flower in front of her is really showing off to a blind man. Fang Xiaowai covered her face and walked away crying. It's impossible not to leave. If she doesn't leave, she doesn't know what else the woman in front of her will say. At that time, all my face will be lost. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at Wu Fei happily, and he was really protective of his calf. Wu Fei raised her face proudly and showed off as if taking credit. I said, you are my friend, how about I protect you from now on? It feels good to have a friend to protect you. At least I still have a friend. The only advantage is that you protect your own people. You won't suffer any loss by being my friend. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled. Mom, this is my friend Wu Fei. She came to see me specially. It happened to happen. Don't be sad. That's what Fang Xiaowai said. Don't worry about whether she is filial or not in the future. Keep it in mind. You have your own biological daughter, and I am your biological daughter. I will take care of you and your father, be filial to you all your life, and provide for you in your old age. If your brothers and sisters dare to be unfilial, let me help you deal with them. As for Fang Xiaowai, forget it. Anyway, she and I have different opinions and do not agree with each other. I don't regard her as a member of the Zhang family at all. We're not angry for her either, it's not worth it. Hold Fan Jiuying to comfort her mother. Fan Jiuying smiled, this child is always so considerate. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 352. Chapter 352, Confused. Wu Fei went back, and when Song Moxon came to see her the next day, Wu Fei was not interested in attending the wedding. Handed the congratulatory gift to Song Moxon, but she didn't show up at all. I do nt know before. Now I know that Songmajan found such a woman, and I wanted to come in the future. She will not give this woman face. You must know that she is Zhang Xiaoxio's friend and her stance must be firm. It is necessary to protect your friends. The next day, Song Mohuan got married, and Wu Fei also met her uncle. Of course I saw it in the old house. Mom, dad, uncle, aunts, and uncles all showed up. Several cars of their family drove to the old house together. She accompanied her grandma, but her grandpa did not show up at all. Grandpa went out to meet his old comrades. It was clear from what I said that night that Grandpa did not want to see this uncle. This is an excuse to avoid. What kind of person is Wu Weiguo? Wu Fei is very curious. Grandma's expression of eager anticipation along the way made Wu Fei even more surprised. It can be seen that this uncle is very popular with Grandma, but why he went to jail makes her particularly curious. No one has mentioned it at all in these years. My life has been going smoothly in these years, and my family has not been affected at all. These can prove that the uncle's imprisonment did not have a great impact on the family. But from what my grandparents said, what my uncle committed was very serious. The family returned to their old home. A man appeared in front of them. Wu Fei looked at the man in front of her in surprise. He was completely different from the vicious prisoner she imagined. He was clean and his skin was very white. If you just look at the person in front of you, you will think that he is just an ordinary intellectual. Tall and thin, with big eyes, wearing a pair of glasses, his eyes are shining with wisdom and his expression is gentle. Everyone I see has a smile on their face. Elegant and scholarly, with a low voice and gentle manner. How could such a person be a criminal? Mom, second brother, third brother, fourth brother, and fifth sister, why are you all here? I've gotten used to it over the years, and I don't want to hurt my family. You better not come here in the future. Mom, I understand. It's good that you have given me a place to stay. I just want to live quietly and don't think about anything else. Wu Weiguo also felt excited when he saw his mother, especially the white hair on her temples, the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes, and her warm and loving eyes. So many years. He has never regretted what he did back then. The only regret I have is that I was unfilial and made my parents worried about me. But he definitely does not think that he has done anything wrong. He must be the one who carries the burden forward. As soon as the old lady held her son's hand, her trembling hands revealed the joy in her heart. You kid, what do you mean by being involved or not? I don't know what happened back then. But I just know that you are my son. Now that you are out, be a good person and live a good life. Find a good woman, get married, have children, and live a good life. Mom just hopes that you can live a peaceful life, which other mothers never hope for. Wu Weiguo smiled and let his family in. Now that you're here, let's go in. I stay in there for a long time and am used to being alone. But I should also meet you. Everyone has changed a lot over the years. Look at those children back then. They have grown up now. Every one of me, but they don't know each other. Looking at Wu Fei and the other children, his eyes were very gentle. Wu Fei bravely went up to him and was the first to say hello. Uncle, I am Wu Fei. She was really curious about this uncle. Other brothers and sisters must have been told by their parents that no one wants to be the first. Her parents worked overtime yesterday and had no time to give her instructions. Wu Weiguo couldn't help but look playful when he saw the little girl in front of him. The little girl is very brave. I was out of town when you were born, but I didn't expect you to grow into such a big girl. Had a simple meal, but there were not many people talking, and almost no one talked at the dinner table. Except for the old lady and Wu Weiguo, who exchanged questions and answers in a regular manner, no one else said much except to say hello. Basically, it is in a state of silence. Wu Fei could feel that the atmosphere was very depressing. She didn't know what her father and uncles knew, but she knew that this uncle should not be welcomed by everyone. On the way back, Wu Fei and her family sat in the car with Grandma, and the atmosphere was dull. "Grandma, Uncle. Shut up, don't ask what you shouldn't ask," Wu Pingzhou shouted sharply. The tone was indescribably harsh. Xiao Xian glanced at Wu Fei and said, "Wu Fei, your grandparents know your uncle's affairs well. This matter is a matter for the previous generation. You children, please don't interfere and just be yourselves." The old lady patted Wu Fei's hand comfortingly. "Don't be afraid, your uncle is not a bad person. In fact, he is an excellent doctor and an excellent biologist. He was once the best genius. He is the son that your grandfather and I have high hopes for. Hey, no one can tell who is right and who is wrong about what happened back then. Your uncle doesn't explain it himself, so Grandma doesn't know many things. So I have no way of explaining it to you, and I have no way of telling you what happened back then. Just treat your uncle like an ordinary uncle. In fact, your uncle is a poor man, so be nice to him." Wu Pingzhou snorted coldly, "Mom, you can't confuse right and wrong like this. Brother did something wrong in what happened back then. No matter who is right or wrong, he shouldn't have done that thing back then. He just shouldn't have done it. Because of that thing, he died. How many people are willing to die, and who is responsible for that? Brother hasn't made the matter clear yet, leaving everyone to guess. What does it mean to confuse right and wrong? Is your eldest brother that kind of person? You grew up with your eldest brother. Don't you know what kind of person your eldest brother is? He has justice in his heart. He has a sense of right and wrong, and he will act in such a confused way. What's the matter? If you don't even believe your brother, how can you let others believe it?" Wu Pingzhou sighed. He knew that when it came to his eldest brother, his mother had no reason at all to argue with anyone he saw. It is a mother who loves her son and protects her son. "Mom, okay, whatever you say will be what it is. I still have to go to the hospital for surgery, and there are 3 more surgeries today. Let's send Mom back, and the 2 of us will go back to the hospital directly." Wu Pingzhou had no choice but to make peace with the matter. Wu Fei is still confused and has a lawsuit on her head. She still doesn't understand what happened to her uncle. Song family wedding banquet. Yehua and Fang Ziwen watched Fang Ziyi and Song Mohuan toast table by table. When I saw Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding accompanying MRS Song, Yehua was not surprised, but Fang Ziwen was frightened. He asked Yehua in a low voice. Yehua was not surprised at all, that is, he had known about it for a long time. Fang Ziwen was a little unhappy. Shouldn't he be told and prepared for such a thing? What's going on? Why did Zhang Xiaoxiao appear with MRS Song? Don't you know, your powerful daughter is now married to Song Moding, the grandson who always accompanies the old lady and greets everyone. He is also the son of old Song's previous wife. Yehua said angrily. Honestly speaking, Yehua didn't want to see Zhang Xiaoxiao. When she saw this daughter, she remembered some things from the past. Those things were her shame, her nightmare of failure, and even more evidence of her own guilt. But this daughter is here to collect debts. If you don't recognize them, don't recognize them. I don't regard this child as my own. However, this daughter just wanted to hang out in front of him, and even married into the Song family. Won the favor of the old man and the old lady, even Fang Ziyi was compared to her. I wish I had known that Zhang Xiaoxiao could still climb into the Song family. She should have strangled Zhang Xiaoxiao to death, or thrown Zhang Xiaoxiao outside, and no matter who picked him up, she might not be in the current situation. But it's too late to regret it now. Since Xiaoxiao has also married into the Song family, why don't you calm down with Xiaoxiao and go up to say hello to her? If you say she is her mother, is it possible that she can still deny you face in front of so many people? Know your own face. Fang Ziwen's eyes lit up. Yehua said angrily, if you want to go, you can go by yourself. I don't want to stick my hot face to someone else's cold ass. Fang Ziwen has no ambition at all, and he doesn't know why he looked at Fang Ziwen blindly in the first place. Perhaps it's because he's easy to handle. But she was also looked down upon. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 353. Chapter 353. Who believes it? Fang Ziwen asked, what are you talking about? What do you mean by putting your hot face on someone else's cold ass? That's your own daughter. Now that you think about her, she is your biological daughter. Who cut off the relationship with her at that time? I am not the only one who said so decisively. You must have a share. You want to recognize her as your biological daughter. It also depends on whether people recognize you. Now that people can climb high branches, do they still think highly of you? Fang Ziwen's face turned dark. This woman had been talking like this all day long since she married him. She was so yin and yang. Yehua, let me tell you, don't be shameless. There are so many people here. If others see the joke, if they see the joke of our Fang family, be careful. I will go back and deal with you. He kicked Yehua hard from below. Yehua grunted in pain, you bastard, why did you find such a loser in the first place? Fang Ziwen got up and went straight to Mrs. Song. My dear old lady, I haven't seen you for a while, you look so strong. The sudden appearance interrupted the old lady's introduction to her grandson and daughter-in-law. Who are you? The old lady has never met Fang Ziwen. Although the two families are relatives, she doesn't want to interfere in her grandson's marriage, so she has never met him at all. I am Fang Ziwen's father. By the way, I am also Zhang Xiaoxiao's father. Xiaoxiao, you don't say hello when you see your father. Even if you have complaints in your heart, parents are parents after all, so you can't be polite. No. Old Mrs. Song's table was filled with people from the older generation of the old lady. They are all big guys in the medical field, and all of these big guys pricked up their ears. Some people can recognize this Fang Ziwen, he is the son of Mr. Fang. But Fang Ziwen and them are not the same thing, and the circle and class are not the same thing. Although the Fang family's background is barely worthy of that of the Song family, Mr. Fang is a professor in academic circles. It is not the same thing as their medical profession. We can be regarded as keeping in touch with each other. I didn't expect that the Fang family would marry the Song family. When I heard what this person said, why did he have two daughters? One is Fang Ziwei, who is getting married today, and the other is actually Zhang Xiaoxiao, the granddaughter-in-law the old lady introduced to them just now. Everyone believes that Fang Ziwei is his daughter. With the same surname, everyone will understand immediately when they say they are from the same family. But he also said that Zhang Xiaoxiao was his daughter. This one is named Zhang and the other is named Fang. What's going on? Many people couldn't help but smile and look at Fang Ziwen. Even if they are gossiping in their hearts, they won't show it on their faces, and they will never let the old lady think that they are watching their family's joke. As soon as old Mrs. Song heard the name Fang Ziwen, she knew that this was Zhang Xiaoxiao's biological father. But what's the point of running up to recognize your family in front of so many people? Isn't this a deliberate slap in the face? You are Fang Xiaohuai's father, and you also want to be Zhang Xiaoxiu's father. This is both inside and out, and you don't want to give up any advantages. Mr. Fang, your daughter is getting married today. This is a great event. You drank 2 more drinks, which is understandable. But you drank too much and came here to talk nonsense. This is not right. I have nothing to do with you. Your surname is Fang, my surname is Zhang. What relationship can we have? My biological parents are still waiting for me at home. You came here without any evidence and said you are my biological father. Even if you want to find a sense of existence, you have to look at where this place is. On your daughter's big day, you are disrespecting your daughter and son-in-law by doing this. Zhang Xiaoxiao nailed the words unfounded and unfounded. If she didn't admit it, Fang Ziwen would be in vain. Yes, boy from the Fang family. It doesn't matter that you are the father-in-law of one of my grandsons. Why do you want to be the father-in-law of 2 of my grandsons? Little parents, I have seen other people, including my in-laws. He is a good person, and he is also a real person, and he loves his daughter very much. Hold it in your hand for fear of falling, hold it in your mouth for fear of melting. If you say that they are not your biological parents, I don't believe it. Go back and sober up quickly. The old lady was naturally on Zhang Xiaoxiu's side. This is my favorite granddaughter-in-law. Old lady from my in-laws, Zhang Xiaoxiao is really my biological daughter. I carried her by mistake in the hospital. Xiaohuai is my adopted daughter. We raised this child but we really couldn't bear to leave her and felt sorry for her, so we didn't change her surname. Send it back. Actually, we treat our 2 children as our own daughters. Fang Ziwen hasn't given up yet. Zhang Xiaoxiao rolled his eyes. Fang Ziwen was still the same as in his previous life. Humiliation of utilitarianism. This means not letting go of anything. Uncle Fang, what you said is a bit irresponsible. This mistake was not made by you yourself. Whether what happened back then was a mistake or not, no one knows. There is no evidence to prove that you are really wrong. Then please provide concrete evidence. You can't come and claim your biological daughter just because you made a mistake, then the world will be in chaos. I just casually tell you who my father is, and I will go directly to the door to recognize him. Do you think that's okay? Many people nodded. This kid is right, everything must be based on evidence. You can't just say it's wrong if you hug it wrong, or recognize it as a girl if you say it's a girl. Then this child still wants to recognize the Prime Minister as his biological father, is that okay? Why are you talking like this? The nurse came out and made it clear that your adoptive parents had deliberately changed the child. Dad, why don't you believe it? If you are not a member of our Fang family, how can I casually identify other people's children? Besides, what good does it do us to recognize you back? If you are not our own flesh and blood, no one will do it. Look how much you look like your mother. Fang Ziwen felt resentful that Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't know how to praise him. Many people look at Yehua, not to mention that they have a slight resemblance, but they cannot say that they are completely similar. Uncle Fang, it's not like there are no children in this world who look a little bit like others. It's very irresponsible for you to say that. The nurse in the hospital also said that she charged you 500 yuan. You let her say whatever she wants, that's what she will say. I don't believe this. I don't believe it, it makes sense. Several uncles and uncles were like this. Uncle Fang indeed found our home and wanted to take me back. My parents considered my future development and felt that it would be good for my future development if my biological parents were cotters. Even though they couldn't bear to part with them, they still sent me back. But who knew that my uncle and aunt from the Fang family asked me to go back to replace their son who went to the countryside to become an educated youth. So I quit and ran back. They immediately said they would cut off ties with me. I thought so. If it were my biological parents, they had not found me back for so many years. They didn't know that what happened back then was excusable. Now that they had found me, they didn't want to make it up to me and show me more love. Instead, they asked me to go to the countryside for their son. I just can't figure this out. I feel like I can't do this if I'm my own biological child. So I think that I am definitely not the biological daughter of the uncle and aunt of the Fang family. If I am, they can't do this. Everyone will treat this as a joke. Uncle Fang, please don't say anything about my biological parents in the future. Without conclusive evidence, I don't recognize this statement and I don't believe it. My parents are the parents of the Zhang family. Regardless of whether they are my biological parents or not, they will be my parents forever. Zhang Xiaoxiao completely tore open the fig leaf. Fang Ziwen's expression changed drastically. This girl actually said it in front of so many people. Everyone looked at Fang Ziwen with a half smile but not a smile. There was indeed something fishy about this matter. This matter is worthy of people's consideration. If it is one's own daughter, she actually goes to the countryside in place of her son. Who would believe someone else's daughter is raised at home as her own daughter? End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 354. Chapter 354 Accident. Fang Ziwen almost ran away. Yehua looked at Fang Ziwen proudly, asking you to squeak there. Do you think that's your daughter? Dream. That Zhang Xiaoxiao was just as stubborn as that man, and he didn't know what was good or bad. If I were your seed, I wouldn't have this qualification. Yehua couldn't help but become irritated when he thought of that man. The man hadn't pushed her into a hurry, and she wouldn't have done that. If the man hadn't promised her, it would have been too late for her to say anything. Fang Ziwen returned to their table dejectedly. Yehua looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao pouring tea for the old lady with a smile, and also poured it for everyone present. There was a sarcastic smile on his lips. It really depends on who you are. Look, this method, this skill, he is so capable at such a young age. Smiling, gentle and generous, who would have thought that this girl is a smiling tiger? Feeling the unkind gaze, Zhang Xiaoxiao looked sideways at Yehua. This biological mother's eyes are not like looking at her biological daughter, but more like looking at an enemy. Zhang Xiaoxiao replied with a gentle smile, you must be so angry. We can't be mother and daughter in this life, so be it. Love it so much. Yehua turned his head and gave Zhang Xiaoxiao a sideways look. Zhang Xiaoxiao turned around. Lao Meng, what are you doing now as a grandson and granddaughter-in-law? I heard from Xiao Song that Mo Ting went to the countryside. Did he come back from leave? Or has he already gone through the procedures to return to the city? The person who spoke was Feng Zishan, the director of Hoyan Hospital and the vice president of the Medical Association. He and Mrs. Song are old classmates, and they can be regarded as elites who studied abroad at that time. Mrs. Song looked at her grandchildren and daughter-in-law kindly. Both of them are educated youths who went to the countryside. They are not back to the city, but they are still back to the city. They both took the college entrance examination last year. Didn't they both get admitted to our medical school here? You are the seniors. From now on you should give more support to your nephews. Give them the opportunity to learn from your experience. Feng Zishan glanced at Song Moting meaningfully. Lao Meng, please stop talking. What is the relationship between us? Isn't your grandson my grandson? Your grandson's daughter-in-law is naturally my grandson's daughter-in-law. Don't worry, as long as they are medical. If you graduate from the college in the future, you will have no problem joining me as an intern. You can be considered a successor. Not only your grandson is studying medicine with you, but your grandson's wife is also studying medicine. You really have a lot of trouble. Lao Meng, you can be regarded as having a good family background, which makes me envious. You are not like that dead boy in my family. Asking him to study medicine is like peeling off his skin. Feng Zishan was speaking from his heart. His son didn't want to inherit his father's legacy at all, so he just idled there all day long. My son likes to start a company. This is a dangerous idea. You must know that the policy did not allow it in the past. Although it was mentioned in the meeting above that the policy may change. But who knows whether this change is temporary or long-lasting. This brat keeps me on edge all day long. I'm not forcing them. Young people still have to give them their own choices. If you don't like this thing, there's no way to learn something advanced, let alone a lifelong career. I'm not forcing them. Who knows? The two of them made their own choice. Especially Xiao Xiao, you don't know, I am a granddaughter-in-law, I am not boasting. She is a good young girl who was born to eat this kind of food. Although she does not have a medical license in the forest farm, she is already able to practice medicine as a doctor. Helped a lot of people, including delivering babies to the families of workers there, and treating injuries of workers there. My grandson was saved by my grandson-in-law. Penetrating injuries can be cured as if nothing happened. The technique of stitching the wound is absolutely superb. Now the wound looks exactly the same as if he was not injured. You tell me, I don't have this ability at her age. The old lady is proud. Okay, even if you say you're fat, you'll be out of breath. Knowing that you have a good granddaughter-in-law will make everything better. How can anyone's stitched wounds be exactly the same as uninjured? What you're talking about is a fantasy. The current technology in our country is not up to par at that level, don't bully us seniors. Even if he likes his daughter-in-law, he would not praise her so much. You elders are all talking. Feng Zishan was really angry that his son was uneducated and had no skills, and his daughter-in-law could be so good. Knowing that the old lady must be exaggerating in her words, he just couldn't get angry and wanted to find trouble. Lao Meng, are you really that good? We are all in this business, and no one knows who is who. For such a young woman, no matter how good her sewing skills are, no matter how talented she is it possible that she can sew flowers? That's right, Lao Meng, you are a calf protector. Everyone else is happy. It's not that everyone is arguing, it's just that they have been in a relationship for many years and they are very relaxed together. They are not like those frivolous things in front of outsiders, and they can still make jokes. Old MRS song was anxious. Mo Ting, take off your clothes for me. The whole table was quiet. Lao Meng, you see you are anxious, we are just talking, I know, your grandson's wife has superb sewing skills, isn't it good? In front of so many guests, let your grandson take off his shirt. What kind of words are you talking about? This is your grandson's wedding banquet. If you don't give me face, we still have to give you face. Feng Zishan never expected that his words would cause such a big commotion. This is not because you are sincere and don't give face to the Song family. I have been friends with Lao Meng for so many years, so I cannot break up the trouble. That's it, Lao Meng, we all believe it yet. Everyone also hurriedly reconciled the situation. Song Moting knew what grandma was thinking, it was to promote Zhang Xiao Xiao. When I got to medical school, I didn't have a famous teacher to guide me, and I was just a third-rate doctor at best. I needed experience and skills that couldn't be taught in a few classes. Especially medicine. Meeting a good teacher is different. With words and deeds, you can get twice the result with half the effort. Save a lot of effort. Come on, come on. Mo Ting and my old man have a drink. Your grandma is old and can't drink, but you must have a drink. You have to give everyone here a drink. These are your seniors, and you grandma, we are all absolutely old comrades, old relationships, and old friends. We have all watched you grow up. When you got married, We did not attend the wedding. If you came back with your new wife, you should give us a toast no matter what. Feng Zishan is very considerate. Break the ice. Song Moding quickly stood up and said, "Dear seniors, I would like to propose a toast to you all. This is a matter of course. Drink it all in one gulp." At this moment, the large glass screen behind him shattered. A pop sound. Lao Han, who was sitting next to Feng Zishan, fell to the ground. No one expected such a change. Feng Zishan hurriedly bent down to check. "They are all doctors here. Not good, call an ambulance quickly. The carotid artery is broken, there is a lot of glass on his body, and the situation is not good now, go call quickly." The sudden change left everyone unable to react. After being yelled at by Feng Zishan, someone ran to make a phone call. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 355. Chapter 355 Simple Diversion Valve. Feng Zishan checked on Lao Han's condition. The situation is very bad. Breathing almost stopped. Lao Han will die if they don't do anything before the ambulance arrives. He needs artificial respiration. Mr. Feng, please give way first. Song Moding took the initiative to ask for the imperial examination. Artificial respiration is not a problem for someone with medical experience like him. It does not require a choice because of Song Moding's age. A young person is far more suitable for artificial respiration than an old person. Feng Zishan took the initiative to give up his position. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding came closer. Abdominal pressure should be a problem. Who has a sharp knife? Zhang Xiaoxiao quickly checked the patient while Song Moding was doing artificial respiration. The rest of the people looked at each other. Who brings a knife to a wedding banquet? It's not like we're here to cause trouble. Zhang Xiaoxiao? You are not a doctor, so you should not deal with the patient casually. Leave it to the ambulance staff. Fang Ziyawai looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao, who was eager for quick success and instant gain, and thought this woman was crazy. Is this the time for her to show off as a hero? This is Mr. Han, the famous surgeon's knife. If she does anything wrong, it will still be at their wedding, and I will have to bear the responsibility. Zhang Xiaoxiao, get out of my way. Song's father scolded. He couldn't bear to see that this wife was as unlovable as Song Moding. Zhang Xiaoxiao glanced at Father Song without saying a word. Get up and quickly rush to the kitchen. Feng Zishan shook his head. The child was right. Lao Han was not breathing and had no other symptoms. It was a symptom of pneumothorax. There were also venous bleeding and abdominal injuries. What should we do now? Feng Zishan thought again and went to the side to discuss a solution with several other people. What should I do? There is no diversion valve now, so Lao Han can't wait for the ambulance crew. What to do? Everybody is helpless. Old MRS Song sat on a chair and watched all this. But he didn't speak, neither agreed, nor stopped. Zhang Xiaoxiao ran back with a kitchen knife. I need sterilized gloves, alcohol, and medical tape. Can anyone find one nearby? I believe there should be a clinic nearby. Someone made a sound. I know, there is one next door, I can help. Okay, thank you, I need a rubber tube for infusion. I also need sterile gloves, medical alcohol, and medical tape. Please get it as quickly as possible. Good. The man ran out without saying a word. Zhang Xiaoxiao was glad that they were in the lobby on the first floor. It didn't take 2 minutes before the man came running over with something in hand, panting. Zhang Xiaoxiao nodded gratefully. Undressing Mr. Han's clothes on the ground. Unbuttoning his clothes in the winter, everyone felt a chill on their bodies. What are you going to do? Feng Zishan asked the question on everyone's mind. Zhang Xiaoxiao poured the alcohol in his hand onto Mr. Han's chest, put on sterile gloves, divided the rubber tube into two parts and inserted them into an empty wine bottle on the table, sealed them with tape and picked up the knife. Attention: pneumothorax is usually caused by a tear in the lung that allows air to enter the pleural space surrounding the lung instead of the lung. Zhang Xiaoxiao held a knife and pressed the ribs, looking for a suitable incision site between the two ribs. Wait a minute, you do this? Feng Zishan was stunned. He never expected that someone would save someone in such a simple way. It's not that he can't see Lao Han's symptoms, but he sticks to the inherent thinking. That can only be done by the hospital's one-way valve device. They have never done anything like this. Zhang Xiaoxiao, I tell you to stop. Father Song was furious. Now that something happened to Mr. Han, the Song family had only a little responsibility at most. But Zhang Xiaoxiao intervened and the Song family became the main responsibility. Once something happens to Lao Han and there is an accident, the Song family will not be able to escape the blame. Zhang Xiaoxiao, this is not harmful. If old Han died here, would the Song family still have a good reputation? Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't even look at Song's father during the whole process, but only glanced at old Mrs. Song. Looking calmly. Mrs. Song nodded. Feng Zishan looked at Mr. Han, who was silent and closed his mouth. It was like this now. A dead horse was treated as a living horse. Is it possible to watch someone die? He doesn't have the ability and can't think of a good way, but what if this girl can do it? In full view. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled, lowered his head, and stabbed down firmly, found the cutting point, and made an incision. That neat movement surprised Feng Zishan and the others. What does this girl do? Understanding medical skills and having the courage to operate a knife are two different things. Generally speaking, understanding medical skills involves diagnosing the pulse and performing a superficial examination. However, operating a knife is different. Most people cannot do it. Without years of practice, being able to become so proficient as to move smoothly is a natural talent. Feng Zishan suddenly understood what the old lady said about his grandson's daughter-in-law's talent. That's true. Or is it that Mrs. Song is secretly setting up a small business for her granddaughter-in-law? This is also uncertain. After all, the old lady is a leader in the medical field. There are 10 elites in their medical field, and the only among them is this old lady. The old lady is a surgical expert. Moreover, only the old lady can do brain surgery, because the old lady has learned this abroad and has practical experience. They are also called surgical masters, but there are still some differences from old ladies. At least compared to brain surgery, they cannot be called experts in this area. Feng Zishan smiled. If the old lady really teaches her grandson and daughter-in-law in private, this is not normal. After all, if one's craftsmanship is not passed on to one's own children and grandchildren, how can it be passed on to outsiders? From this point of view, the old lady is right. Zhang Xiaoxiao inserted the rubber tube neatly and quickly sealed the wound with tape. In just a moment, airflow began to appear in the bottle, and Mr. Han's breathing began to rise and fall in an orderly manner. Feng Zishan watched as the girl in front of him used a half-filled bottle of Maotai wine bottle to make a half-baked diversion valve. No matter what, the little girl has the ability. This simple diversion valve is amazing enough. You saved him. Feng Zishan stood up excitedly. In front of their eyes, an incredible scene of a textbook-style way of saving people was staged. Everyone stood up and applauded. I have to admit that they saved Lao Han and staged the scene alive. How come such a young man doesn't deserve everyone's applause? After the waves of applause, the ambulance has arrived. The ambulance personnel were also amazed after inspecting it. The simple version of the diversion valve is really amazing. Mr. Han was put into the ambulance. Watching the ambulance leave from a distance, Feng Zishan patted Mrs. Song on the shoulder. Lao Meng, you are really discerning. You can find such a good wife for your grandson. This is really like the waves in the Yangtze River pushing back the waves, and the waves in front crashing on the beach. Just do this to your grandson's daughter-in-law, and she is also a medical school. It's amazing that you can save people in emergencies like this when you are still a student. These words are sincere and there is no adulteration at all. There was silence all around. Song Mo-huan's face was ashen. He was already an intern doctor in the city hospital, and now he was slapped in the face by a woman at his wedding banquet. It is still praised so much by leading figures in the medical field. Where do you put your face? So many of my colleagues and leaders over there are watching, even though they can't say anything. But the meaning in the eyes can be understood by anyone who understands. He has completely lost face. Only free on the 30th, 4,000 words will be updated on the 30th and 31st, and additional updates will be added on the 1st. Don't be surprised. Starting from November, the update will be changed to 6,000 words per day. I hope you can still support me. I am a little too tired and need a rest. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 356. Chapter 356 Love. Zhang Xiaoxiao sat next to Song Moding, and Song Moding arranged her clothes. My own daughter-in-law is amazing. Thumbs up. Zhang Xiaoxiao gave him a roll of his eyes. Why don't you brag yourself so blatantly? There are so many seniors sitting here. Although I have been practicing medicine for many years, these seniors have rich experience after all. The reason why I am so powerful is because medical technology will become more and more advanced in the future. What I am proud of is the accumulation of time and experience. Who can compare to Zhang Xiaoxiao, who has lived over 80 years old? Even though these are experts, they have never seen the more advanced medical equipment and medical treatment methods in the future. Zhang Xiaoxiao did not feel proud of this. After all, what he had was accumulated bit by bit through his own efforts. Compared with these people, she has lived an extra life. It's not about how smart or talented she is. No one in her previous life said she was talented. Even the people she works as village doctors are often looked down upon by others, and they spend much more time with others looking down at them than normal people. Isn't it just because I am ignorant and have little knowledge? Now she is even less proud. Feng Zixin looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao, who looked calm and couldn't help but nodded with satisfaction. Lao Meng, if you are lucky, look at how outstanding your grandson is. Now that he has married a granddaughter-in-law, he is also so good. Let me tell you, your grandson-in-law will definitely get an internship in my hospital after graduation. I have decided in advance. I can't let such a good person go. I have to grab it first. Old MRS Song's smile was as bright as a flower. Lao Meng, don't listen to him. His hospital is not as good as our river. Come to our river. We are old friends. My friendship is not inferior to his friendship with you. You can't treat one with favoritism. When such a talent comes to our Renhe, you can rest assured that I will only provide him with the best resources and the best conditions. If Luz Heiming doesn't do it, he will be robbing talents, right? It would be okay if he watched Feng Zixin rob his own people. Just by looking at the little girl's current hand, one can know that such a person will definitely be a good candidate to become a doctor after graduation in medical school after just a few years of study. After a few more years of training in the hospital, there will be great achievements in the future. The future is limitless. This is the rookie of the future. If Feng Zixin steals such a person, then he is sincerely letting Feng Zixin compete with him in the ring. MRS Song smiled and said, "Don't argue. The two children have only started school in March. They haven't even started school yet. What's the use of fighting over each other now? What if the two of them will learn at a third-rate level in the future? I went to your hospital, that's not an embarrassment to me. This is so humble. Feng Zishan and Luz Haiming rolled their eyes. This Lao Meng is still such a piece of shit. This is not sincere. Lao Meng, look at what you said, you don't mean it. Your grandson and granddaughter-in-law are so young. They can become third-rate in the future. Are you kidding me? You are the old man behind me. If you reach the third-rate level, my head will be used as a ball for you. That's right, Lao Meng, we have been friends for many years. If you protect a young child, you will protect a young child. If you are proud, you will be proud. If you are proud, you will be proud. We didn't say anything. Isn't it just that you gave birth to a good grandson and married a good grandson-in-law? As for the situation. Old MRS Song laughed even harder. Lao Song, the train on the road has been delayed. I heard that it will arrive this afternoon. Have you ever thought about the consequences of saying this to me? Feng Zishan and Luz Haiming trembled. The living bandit will arrive this afternoon. Don't worry, for a while we'll leave immediately after dinner. We won't see any consequences. The two people have the same diameter. Song Moding and Zhang Xiaoxiao were happy. Several old-timers and children alike. Feng Zishan quietly wrote a novel to Zhang Xiaoxiao, who asked Zhang Xiaoxiao to sit next to him. This is like getting the moon first. If we don't try to gain the child's favor at this time, how could such a talented person come to their hospital in the future? He would not believe Lao Meng's nonsense. At Lao Meng's level, even with average qualifications, he can definitely be trained into a first-class doctor, not to mention that these two children are very talented at first sight. Handborn to be a doctor. Coupled with Lao Meng's teachings behind the scenes, Lao Meng will be considered a successor in the future. Brain surgery is not easy to perform, and not everyone can train a surgeon to perform brain surgery. Girl, if you encounter any problems in the medical school in the future, just come to me. Needless to say, several professors at the medical school you went to are my disciples. If you encounter any problems, then it will be solved by me, old Feng. A greeting question. Don't be polite to me. Your grandma and I have been friends for many years. We have been friends for a lifetime. Did you see that I once had an operation on my head? Your grandma personally performed it on me, forcing my life back from the Lord of Hell. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled, knowing that the Song family had a deep background, but he didn't expect the old lady to be so powerful. This Mr. Feng, she knew in her previous life that he was a dean in the medical field, a big boss. Such a person was someone she had looked up to in her previous life. Of course, she has attended many meetings of such medical experts, and even worked as an assistant beside them during exchanges. But that was only a brief interaction. There was no teacher-student relationship between them, but in this life, these people who she once looked up to were talking to her so affectionately. Just like ordinary elders treating their juniors with the same love and care. This status was given to her by MRS Song. No wonder Feng Ziyuai wants to marry into the Song family. The benefits, status, and honor that the Song family can bring to her are definitely more successful than the family Feng Ziyuai married in her previous life. Zhang Xiaoxiao couldn't help but think deeply. It seemed that Feng Ziyuai was not a simple person. Rebirth yourself. But these changes brought about by rebirth, on the one hand, I have made changes, on the other hand, I have not made them at all. Other people's life trajectories are still changing. She has an intuition that Feng Ziyuai may also be reborn. This feeling made her feel particularly ridiculous. It seemed that there was really a kind of fate in this world. Of course, this kind of fate is called evil fate. It is called how to be bright when there is you. She has always had Feng Ziyuai in her reincarnation. It's really a fight to the death. Mr. Feng, I will definitely not be polite to you. Once I encounter any difficult problems, I will definitely go to you for help. You can't turn me away at that time, or I will complain to my grandma when I go back. Let she came to see you personally. Zhang Xiaoxiao is very good at hitting snakes and following the tricks on the stick, which is also the old man's favorite trick. Sure enough, Feng Zishan smiled like a spring breeze. Pat Zhang Xiao on the shoulder. Girl, with your temperament, no wonder your grandma likes you so much. Even an old man like me thinks she likes you so much. It's such a pity, how could such a good young man be met by Lao Meng? If I had met you first, how could you have done it? They are my students. Alas, time is indeed destiny, Lao Song's luck is really not that good. You can marry such a good young lady by marrying a grandson. It seems that I have to go home and urge my unsatisfactory grandson to marry a wife as soon as possible. Maybe I can marry someone like this, and then I will be able to laugh. Everyone is smiling. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 357. Chapter 357 I can't drink alcohol for a long time. Song Mohuan and Fang Ziyawai came to this table with wine glasses. Due to emotions and reasons, they had to start their toasts from this table. Accompanying Song's father and Song's mother. Grandma, elders, we as juniors are here to toast you. Thank you for coming to our wedding. This is a great honor for us. Grandma, this glass of wine is wine. I know you don't like to drink white wine. So this is a wine specially bought from France that suits you very well and is your favorite taste. Song Mohuan hurriedly showed his kindness to the old lady. Over the years, he had also wanted to be loved by his grandma. It's a pity that every time he went back to his grandma, he could only exchange a few regular greetings at most, and her grandma's attitude towards him was always lukewarm. But grandma was different towards Song Moding, she loved her very much. In the past, he thought it didn't matter. His grandparents didn't like him anyway, as long as his parents loved him. But as he grew up, he realized that the love of grandparents is different from that of parents. Because the power held by grandparents is completely different from that of mom and dad. Mom and dad cannot protect her safety throughout her life, but grandparents can. His grandfather's achievements and his grandmother's achievements cannot be replaced by anyone. Put aside the so-called imbalance in the heart, feeling unfair and so on. Even if he dislikes Song Moding 100 times, he knows that to get grandma's favor, he must pretend to be very close to Song Moding. Friendly. He must give others the feeling that he is the one who has been wronged and yet does not say anything. He is the one who was robbed of his favor by his brother but is still friendly to him. He must win the favor of his grandma. Mrs. Song smiled faintly and said nothing. At this time, in front of so many people, she couldn't refute the face of her grandson and grandson's wife. No matter what, she must give them both this dignity in front of outsiders. The old lady picked up the wine glass and looked at the full glass of wine. Can't help but laugh. Feng Zishan also shook his head. This granddaughter-in-law of the Song family is not very good. This red wine cannot be filled to the full glass. This is a truth that everyone knows. To show her filial piety, this girl actually poured a full glass. Then I wish you a happy couple and a happy marriage. The old lady raised her glass. But someone snatched it away. Song Moding took the wine glass and said, with this glass of wine, on behalf of Grandma, I wish you happiness forever. Drink it all in one gulp. Song Mo Huankai's fingers were trembling. Song Moding definitely did it on purpose. This is embarrassing yourself in front of so many people. Father Song's face darkened. Mo Ting, what's the matter with you? This is your brother's wedding. Why are you still so ignorant of etiquette at this time? There are so many uncles here, you really let me down. Feng Zishan hurriedly smoothed things over. Xiao Song, what you said is a bit too much. Why don't you understand etiquette? Mo Ting is just like my grandson. He must have sincerely wished his brother a happy wedding, but he was just a little excited. It doesn't matter, It doesn't matter, we are all our own people. No one will take it seriously. Father Song forced a smile. Mr. Feng, if you don't care about your relationship with my grandma, you are giving my grandma face. But this child has always been like this over the years. He doesn't like his younger brother, so he always wants to embarrass his younger brother. I really didn't expect that he would be able to do this during the wedding. He doesn't give face to his younger brother, nor does he give face to his grandma. He is really ignorant. I have grown so big that I don't even understand this truth. Everyone was embarrassed now, and they couldn't stop a father from scolding his son. But a father, in front of so many people, does not give his son face, letting people see how much the father dislikes his son. Outsiders like them feel embarrassed and disappointed when they hear someone scolding their son here. This is not because they are sincerely not giving the old lady face. Uncle, you misunderstood. Zhang Xiaoxiao stepped forward. Song Moding seemed to have met his father, stepmother, and half-brother. His whole person became different and a little murderous. It is clear that what he does is out of good intentions, and it will be misunderstood by others. But he still hasn't explained it? For Zhang Xiaoxiao, he knows from the experience of his previous life. Failing to explain means letting others misunderstand. Failure to explain means putting yourself in an embarrassing situation. In the past, Song Moding was just one person. Now that Song Moding has her by his side, as his wife, she will not let anyone insult him or misunderstand him. Uncle? It's ridiculous. Song Moding is my son. Isn't it wrong for you to call me that? Do you mean that you are not married to Song Moding? Father Song just saw Zhang Xiaoxiao completely ignoring him and ignoring anything he said, and he was already very angry. This daughter-in-law actually dared to show no respect to her father-in-law at all and was arrogant. Now that she brought up this topic, of course she would seize it and seize the opportunity to get angry. Although he knew that having an attack in front of so many people was a bit embarrassing for his son's wedding, and also for the old lady's face. I just couldn't hold it back. Uncle, I call you this because I have known for a long time that you and Mo Ting have severed ties. You once said that Mo Ting is not your son. So out of emotion and reason, I don't know what to call you. Calling you uncle is also to respect you. After all, this is what you mean. I don't know what you mean. Do you hope that Song Moding is your son, or do you hope that Song Moding is not your son? I am not a roundworm in your belly. I really cannot observe this carefully. Zhang Xiaoxiao was speechless, and Song's father was blushing. These words were indeed what he said. At that time, because of Song Moding's incident, he even published a special newspaper statement stating that he and Song Moding had severed the father-son relationship. This incident caused quite a fuss at the time. Because of this incident, the old man whipped him so severely that he could not get off the ground for 10 days. Everyone in the entire compound and in the circle doesn't know about this. But after so many years, everyone just pretends that this incident has never happened. It's a good thing now, this girl is exposing the scars here alive. Song's mother supported her husband. Xiao Xiao, I know you are Mo Ting's wife, and of course you will stand by his side. After all, Lao Song is also Mo Ting's father. Although it was a bit excessive for him to say this at the time, this blood relationship it's not a sentence or a newspaper statement that can be cut off. Old Mrs. Song smiled faintly, you too, please give me some peace of mind. Today is your son's wedding. What's the point of comparing it here? You know, this is your son's wedding. I don't know, I thought it was your enemy's wedding and you two came to make a scene. Mother Song was speechless by the old lady's words. Mo Ting, he took that glass of wine away just now because he knew that I have been in poor health over the years and have been unable to drink for a long time. He is kind and filial, but he is not good at talking, so the things he did make people feel it seems that he is not giving face to his younger brother. In fact, except for the fruit wine with a special secret recipe given to me by Xiao Xiao, I can't drink any other wine at all. If I drink a little, I have to go to the hospital. This kid always remembers this. He is afraid that I will have an accident. As soon as these words came out, Song Mohuan's face turned red. As a grandson, I didn't know this at all and still let my grandma drink this glass of wine. After drinking this glass of wine, if grandma goes to the hospital, their wedding will become a complete joke. And they have become eternal sinners. Song Moding is not denying himself face, he is trying to save the situation. These people present all looked meaningfully at Song Mohuan, Song's father and Song's mother. Fang Xiaowai was not among them at all, and Fang Xiaowai didn't know whether she could be forgiven. After all, he is an outsider. Outsiders don't know this, but as children, they don't know this. This doesn't make sense. This can no longer be called a question of filial piety or not. This also makes it clear that the relationship between Song's father and the old lady may not have eased as rumored by the outside world. How can a son who doesn't even understand his biological mother's physical condition still be considered a son? At the same time, more people looked at Song Moding and Zhang Xiaoxiao with admiration. Song Moding, this is true filial piety. Regardless of his grandmother's body, he would rather sacrifice his reputation, and in order to hurt the reputation of the Song family, he would not even explain, and would rather bear everything. Such a child is a truly good child. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 358. Chapter 358 stroke. The wedding is over. Lao Feng and the others left one after another. Song's father and Song's mother were completely embarrassed today, although others did not know the situation. But almost all the prominent people here are sitting at this table and the table next to it. Everyone at the two tables saw this scene. The couple did what Song Mohuan did. There is no face at all now. Song Mohuan was glum, and he and Fang Xiaowai sent away the remaining guests, and he was a little listless during the rest of the show. Fang Xiaowai was also upset. Had I known it, I would never have poured that glass of wine. Song Moxin was a little annoyed. Grandma still doesn't give their family face. Obviously, I could not talk about this matter at all, but I had to tell the truth about it in front of so many people. Song Moding is doing better. Everyone thinks that Song Moding is a filial and benevolent grandson, but his brother, his father and mother have become the target of public criticism. The old lady is sincere. The family returned home in silence. Song's father and Song's mother went back to the room directly. Fang Xiaowai and Song Mohuan also returned to the room. Song Mohuan fell on the bed without saying a word. Fang Xiaowai was speechless. This newlywed is quite embarrassing. Fortunately, Song Moxin knocked on the door soon. Fang Xiaowai breathed a sigh of relief. Song Moxin sent Wu Fei a gift. Looking at the valuable gifts, Fang Xiaowai finally felt that she was from the Song family. At least the Song family's real benefits can be seen. If it wasn't for the Song family, why would the Wu family give them gifts? But don't they all say that the relationship between the Song family and the Wu family is not good? How come the Wu family sent a gift? Or was it sent by Song Moxin? Mo Huan, Wu Fei sent you a wedding gift, it's a couple's watch. Fang Xiaowai took out the watch and couldn't put it down. The two watches were different from those she usually saw. Is a foreign brand. Song Mohuan turned around and glanced. Oh, Wu Fei. It's probably for my sister's sake. Wu Fei and I have a normal relationship. Keep it. When Wu Fei gets married in the future, we will also give gifts. No one from the Wu family came today, not even Wu Fei. This represents the attitude of the Wu family. No matter what efforts Song Moxin made, the Wu family had no intention of reconciling with the Song family. Father Song answered a phone call, stood up, picked up his coat and left. Mother Song asked hurriedly. It's already afternoon, where are you going? My eldest brother called me. Dad has a train this afternoon and I have to pick him up at the station. Song's father went out directly. After what happened today, he knew better that he had to ease the relationship with his parents, otherwise outsiders might not be able to spread the news about what happened today, and he would lose face by then. The problem is that problems will arise in the future, not only for oneself, but also for children, wives, and in the longer term, the entire family. He can no longer continue to be in such a stalemate with his father and mother. With regard to his father's bad temper, he would not bow his head. How could it be possible if he wanted his father to bow his head? And my mother's attitude today is even more clear. She will always stand on the side of that little beast no matter what. There will be many times when I will be embarrassed in the future. Instead of being embarrassed in the future, it is better to reconcile with my parents as soon as possible. Even if he pretends, he still has to ease the relationship between Songmoting and them. He is not a brainless person, and his temper depends on who he is. Hurry to the train station. The eldest brother and the 3 younger brothers are all there. I saw him waving. The old man's security guards called me. They will be here soon. I looked at the time and saw that the train will pull into the station in 3 minutes. Song Kingyun is the eldest son of the family, and he usually has more contact with the old man's guards when it comes to matters. Song Kingyun is the director of the clinical department of the medical university. Of course, it was once a famous surgical knife. However, his qualifications were limited and he originally wanted to learn brain surgery from his mother. However, after several operations, he also found that he was still unable to cope with such operations. As an assistant, he has no problem and is very responsible, but if he is actually the surgeon, his ability to deal with problems is too poor. Because of this, his mother decided to let him teach. She felt that he would not be able to handle surgeries well enough and would be prone to surgical problems. He himself thought carefully before transferring to the medical university to teach. Song Ching Chang, the 3rd child, is the director of pediatrics and is already a national expert. Song's father, Song King Hee, is the cardiovascular director. Among the 3 brothers, each has his own merits. Brother, when you sent your mother home today, did your mother say anything? Song's father couldn't hold it back. Don't blame mother for what happened today. Mother is right, you were too indifferent to Mo Ting. If your attitude hadn't angered mother today, mother wouldn't have been so disrespectful to you. And Mo Ting's kid has already done something today. Enough. He didn't explain or refute what you said. But brother, you should think more about how old Mo Tingdu is. Moreover, he has already married and started a business. In the past, he was alone. When he was wronged, he might not defend himself, and there was no one else to defend him. The problem is that he has a wife now. You can see that his wife protects him very much. No wife would want others to treat her husband like this. And you really need to change your attitude towards this child, because he is your biological son. You don't want your mother to get angry. If I were in my mother's position, I would also get angry. Song Kingyun couldn't stand his brother's behavior. Father Song lowered his head. Brother, I understand. I have also reflected on what happened today. I made a mistake. Send our dad back and I will admit my mistake to my parents. The 3 brothers were speechless. It won't take a while. The appearance of a group of people disturbed their vision, because they discovered that the old man was carried back on a stretcher. What's wrong, Xiao Wang, what's going on? Song Kingyun was in disarray. Several guards were carrying the stretcher steadily, and the old man was on it. Professor Song, the old man suddenly suffered a stroke on the road. We were delayed and went to the local hospital for simple treatment, but the hospital said that in the old man's condition, the stroke requires long-term treatment at home, and there is no way to cure it in a short while. We had no choice but to carry the old man back from the local hospital. After all, the hospitals in northern Beijing have much better treatment conditions than those in rural hospitals. Don't say any more, let's rush the old man to the hospital now. Song Qingyun and his three brothers rushed to help. They carried the old man into the car in a panic and quickly sent him to Renhe Hospital in Beijing. Because they had made phone calls on the way in advance, the hospital was already prepared to receive them. The old man was sent to the Cotter ward. It was too late that day, and there was no way to do a full-body examination. We had to wait until the next day. Song Qingyun called the old lady, but did not dare to directly say that the old man had suffered a stroke. He just said that the old man's car was delayed and might not arrive until tomorrow morning. Telling the old lady now will only make her panic and rush to the hospital, but it will not solve the fundamental problem. The three of them stayed with the old man and waited until early tomorrow morning to tell the old lady the truth. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 359. Chapter 359 Plan. Song Qinghe looked at the old man sleeping unconsciously. I feel a little helpless and have mixed feelings. This father is in awe in his heart, but he still has some complicated hatred for his father. The father has very strict requirements on these children, and he often beats people, and even uses family law. Father believes in the idea that filial sons will emerge from under a stick. Among the three brothers, he was the one least favored by his father. He was very rebellious since he was a child. When he grew up, he was not willing to study medicine at first. He wanted to paint and travel around the world. But the old man gave him a whip, so he had no choice but to embark on the path of studying medicine. That's not what he likes. Even if he doesn't like to embark on the path of studying medicine, he has already embarked on the path of studying medicine. There is no starting over in life. If he has the care of his mother along the way, he will actually go smoothly. When it was time to get married, his father insisted on making a marriage arrangement for him since he was a child. My father and mother are also veteran cotters. Why are veteran party members still engaging in such feudal superstitions at this time? But what can be done? He didn't agree, and his father gave him a stern beating with a whip. He was in his 20s and was beaten so hard by his father that he couldn't get out of bed. There, his mother told him that the engaged girl was very gentle and virtuous, and that the other person's mother and his own mother were best friends together and had saved his parents' lives. He understood that he wanted to repay the favor with himself. Marry whatever you want. It's not a matter of marrying anyone. Anyway, I don't have a girl I like. The moment he saw his wife, he felt comforted, at least as his mother said. This girl is really gentle and virtuous. This peaceful day made him feel that there was nothing wrong with it. Under the arrangement of his parents, he felt that this would be the case for his life. Be a doctor honestly and grow old with your wife. However, the year when his wife was pregnant, he suddenly met the love of his life. The moment he saw his wife's sister, he understood that what he needed to live with someone for a lifetime was love. Without the support of love, staying with someone for even 1 second would be irritating enough and make him want to die. His wife's gentleness and virtuousness did not make him change his mind. When his son was born, he also told his wife that he wanted a divorce. The wife was a weak person and did not make a fuss, but she committed suicide. Because of this incident, his world completely changed. After the old man gave him a severe lesson, he was not allowed to marry the person he loved. He was going through it alone like this. He originally thought that he would just go through it and see who could survive it. After all, he was his father's biological son. Is it possible that my father really wants to see him be a bachelor for the rest of his life? But he didn't expect his father to be so heartless, just because he beat Song Moding. The father will sever ties with him. At that moment, he understood that in the eyes of his father, he was an unfilial son and was not even as important as his own son. He made up his mind that even if his father really disowned him, he would marry the person he loved. Indeed, he married the person he loved as he wished, and had his own wife and children. But he looked down upon Song Moding even more. Because Song Moding got all the favor he never got from his father. No matter how naughty, disobedient, and rebellious Moding is, in his father's eyes, he is the best grandson. Even his grumpy father never lifted a finger against Song Moding. He also understood for the first time that it's not that a father can't love a child, a father can. It's just that the love was never given to him. After all these years, he has never thought of having any filial piety towards his father. When he decided to make peace with his father suffered a stroke. He is a doctor, so of course he knows what will happen after a stroke. Either he is paralyzed, or his hands and feet are not obedient, or his speech is awkward, or his mouth is crooked and his eyes are crooked. His father, who was once so dashing and neat, became like this. He felt a little regretful, but even more gloating about his misfortune. This must be retribution. The father treated himself so well and finally received such a retribution. Now he needs the filial piety of his children. Does the father still need to be so aloof? The rights of the father will also disappear with his stroke. Song King he sighed. While he was gloating about his misfortune, he also knew that his gloating about his misfortune was inappropriate. The death of his father would not be of any benefit to him, nor would it be of any benefit to the Song family as a whole. Although the old lady is still there. But the power that the old man possesses is incomparable to the old lady. He originally wanted to ease the relationship with his father, just to use his father's power to take himself further, but now it seems that it is completely contrary to what he thought. The old man has become what he is now, and it is difficult to think about it even in his current position. People exist and human feelings exist. With the old man in this state and not being in an important position, I am afraid that the Song family will face an unprecedented storm. Song King he scratched his hair. What to do? Looks like I have to think of a way. The old man has just laid down, and there is still room for change in many things. After all, the old man's connections are still there. Taking this opportunity, he can use the old man's connections to make a few calls and do something for himself. If the old man is really seriously ill, it can be regarded as the last thing the old man can do for these children. Song King he turned around and went out. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding had been accompanying the old lady at the Song family. After waiting for a long time, they got a call from their uncle, saying that the old man had delayed his arrival in the morning. They both looked at each other, and Zhang Xiaoxiao asked the old lady to go back to her room to rest. Song Moding made a few calls in the living room. After Zhang Xiaoxiao came out, Song Moding looked serious. "What's wrong? Your expression is so serious. Did something happen to the old man?" Zhang Xiaoxiao responded absolutely quickly. "I contacted my friends on the railway, and the news they gave me was that the old man suddenly suffered a stroke for unknown reasons while he was halfway on the road. In fact, the old man had already arrived and should be sent to Beijing North Hospital now. The uncle said that the examination should be done tomorrow, so he didn't want grandma to be frightened." Stroke. Zhang Xiao paused. The old man is such a cheerful and open-minded old man. He does things neatly and walks like the wind. His back is always straight. The military demeanor keeps the old man as tall as a pine tree throughout his life. Such an old man, if he had the sequelae of a stroke, she could not imagine what would happen to him. "Don't worry, maybe the situation is not as bad as we think." Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't dare to draw conclusions easily without seeing the person. Song Moding nodded. "Yes, Grandpa will be fine." End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 360. Chapter 360 Acupuncture. The next day. The doctor in the hospital looked serious. The results of all the old man's examinations have been produced. It is indeed a stroke. Stroke is actually caused by qi and blood disorder, cerebral pulse blockage or blood overflow in the brain. The main symptoms are sudden coma, hemiplegia, numbness of limbs, tongue tremors, crooked tongue, and numbness on one side of the body. Brain diseases. A disease that has the characteristics of sudden onset and rapid change, such as wind evil and good deeds that change rapidly, is called a stroke. The old man suffered a severe stroke and is now in a coma. Even if he wakes up, he most likely will be hemiplegic or hemiplegic. Ms. Song sat on the chair with tears in her eyes. "Doctor, please do your best to treat him. There is no other way now." The doctor nodded. "Don't worry, Ms. Song. We will definitely do everything we can to help the old man wake up as soon as possible. Everyone has a heavy heart." Zhang Xiaoxiao helped the old lady back to the ward. Song Qinghe came up to help the old lady. "Mom, don't be sad, I have found several experts in this field to discuss countermeasures, and I will definitely help my father get better." Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at the old man. His symptoms were really severe. In the next few days, there was an endless stream of people visiting the ward. The old man finally woke up after 3 days. After all, stroke is not a terminal disease, and most people will wake up. It's just whether people can accept the sequelae after waking up. The mild case is hemiplegia, and the mouth and eyes are crooked. The most serious one may be lying in bed unable to speak or move for the rest of your life. And for the old man, the hospital obviously tried its best and used the best drug treatment. The current situation is that the old man has woken up. But his mouth and eyes are crooked, and he can't even speak complete words clearly. Many times, the old lady has to lie close to his mouth and listen carefully to understand what the old man means. When the old man knew his situation, he became even more furious. He wanted to pull out all the needles and infusion tubes on his body, but he couldn't do such a thing even if he wanted to. Hemiplegia is no joke, he can't even use his hand to grab the infusion tube. What makes the old man even more frustrated is that under this situation, he needs someone to take care of him for food, drink, and toilet. How can a once majestic and heroic old man accept this? This is even worse than killing him. Old Ms. Song called and invited all her well-known old friends to come over. After all, her old man was in this situation now. Hide it, and others will know about it, so why not invite all these people here and let everyone brainstorm, maybe they can come up with some other solutions. After all, there are many folk masters among the people. For example, I have heard of someone who had acupuncture after a stroke. He insisted on acupuncture for half a year and finally recovered. Now we need to find these capable people to help the old man solve the current situation. Looking at her old man like this, the old lady felt sad. Zhang Xiaoxiao originally wanted to give the old man some peach wine. But at this time, she didn't even have a chance to open her mouth. In the ward were either Song Qingyun, Song Qinghe, and his 3 brothers, or the old lady. What she wanted to say was interrupted several times. Zhang Xiaoxiao also knew that what she said was a bit too crazy. Who would believe it? Zhang Xiaoxiao also tried adding some peach branches to the cooked rice porridge, but the old man became stubborn and refused to eat for a whole day. Otherwise, a bowl of rice will simply be overturned. After repeated attempts, the old man really had no chance to eat it. Zhang Xiaoxiao really didn't have the opportunity he was looking for. It was only now that Zhang Xiaoxiao realized that his peach was not omnipotent. Eating it can cure diseases, but it also has no effect. The old man is an example of a naked person right in front of you. A person's life, old age, illness, and death are not something that a peach can go against. God allowed her to be reborn and gave her the space to defy heaven, but he did not allow her to go against the laws of heaven and reincarnation. Because of this, Zhang Xiaoxiao was relieved. She was really worried that if disease set any Guinness World Records record, such as being a 500-year-old longevity man, she would collapse. It's normal now. Have the ability to resurrect the dead, but not for a lifetime. This is very reassuring. Lao Meng, don't tell me, I actually know someone in this field. The acupuncture doctor is said to be very good at treating strokes. I have already made a call and will be here tonight. Feng was talking in the mountains. They are all old friends, and MRS Song doesn't need to open her mouth. As long as they can help, they will definitely help. Everyone brainstormed and came up with many solutions. MRS Song nodded gratefully. It was superfluous to say anything at this time. The acupuncturist is here. After seeing the old man's condition, I was assured that he could really cure the old man's stroke. Although it cannot be said that he has completely recovered, it is still possible to at least recover to 70% to 80%. When he heard this, everyone was happy. After all, the old man has recovered 70% to 80%, and can at least walk and talk slowly, which is surprising enough. Zhang Xiaoxiao felt much relieved when he heard this. If the old man could really be cured by acupuncture, at least he wouldn't have to expose Tao Zi. Besides, she knows which one of her peaches is the one that can cure stroke. Those peaches have obvious curative effects. The problem is that Zhang Xiaoxiao is more worried about the peaches of several colors. Zhang Xiaoxiao himself has not even figured out what diseases these peaches can cure. Using the old man as an experiment? Don't dare. How could it be possible to experiment on the old man? The effects of peaches have not yet been fully developed, because she found that some peaches had problems recently, and the little white rabbit she experimented with had strange reactions. No animal can resist peaches. Basically eat as much as you can. But last time, a rabbit couldn't sleep after eating 2 black peaches to help him sleep. Completely turned into a sleeping rabbit. Zhang Xiaoxiao was so frightened that she broke into a cold sweat after making such a shocking discovery. I have always thought that my peach can cure all diseases. How did you know it has this effect? This is not about curing illnesses and saving lives, but about getting out of control on the road to death. So, Zhang Xiaoxiao is now too frightened to act rashly. This is also the reason why Zhang Xiaoxiao never gave Mr. Song any peaches. Half a peach? A peach? Or how much? Abnormal phenomena may occur to some extent. For example, I can't sleep at all. It seems that you can't eat too much of anything. Zhang Xiaoxiao's research found that the peaches on his peach tree are not bad, and they are obtained according to the routine. As many as people eat, they can cure all diseases. Just how to treat the disease and how long it will take. This is still related to the number of peaches eaten. And the peach wine and dried peaches she made alleviated the effect, which was not as fast as the original pure peach eating. The peaches produced by spring water are even more different. This is the only thing she is happy about. Otherwise, their whole family would not know how they died. Then he killed many people. Since this discovery, Zhang Xiaoxiao has been extremely restrained and does not dare to act recklessly now. Watching the acupuncturist's needles go in, the old man seemed to close his eyes in comfort. Everyone is in a good mood. There seems to be hope. Zhang Xiaoxiao glanced at Song Moding, who clenched his fists. He is the person who hopes most that his grandfather can live a long and healthy life. Song King he glanced at his son, who was still so annoying. Yesterday, he blocked Song Moding and had a heart-to-heart talk, but this man was indifferent. If the old man can't be cured, I don't know if Song Moding can continue to be so arrogant. He had the urge to bring Song Moding down, even though he was his son. But I also know that this idea is a bit extreme. They are all members of the Song family. One is prosperous and both are prosperous, one is deprived and both are deprived. End of this chapter.